And here we are. Welcome back to the Redshirt Sophomore, where we never sit out. I'm Chris Dawson, your host today. No math today, as this is our individual mock draft. If you're looking to see his mock draft, obviously after you're done watching mine, subscribing, liking, commenting, doing all the good stuff that you love, he's making our channel grow. Go check out his video. He's doing the same thing right now. I'm doing my final individual mock draft. Then he's going to record his and post his as well. We're going to compare the two, see where we did right, see where we did wrong, and all that good stuff. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy our NFL draft content. But we are a college football channel. So if you like that too, make sure to hit the subscribe button. As after the NFL draft, we are getting back into college football and really digging into this offseason and upcoming 2024 season. But without further ado, let's get started here. With the first pick, it's the Bears, obviously. This one's been pretty chalk for a while now. I'm not going to spend too much time going over it, but it's Caleb Williams, and that's kind of where we're at right now. As a Bears fan myself, I'm pretty darn happy about it because he's a pretty darn good player, if you ask me. And obviously, change up from hopefully the last 50 years as what it's been like to be a quarterback for the Chicago Bears. And Caleb Williams seems to do that. Number two, and obviously this pick has kind of been very controversial, which I did not think it was going to be this late in the process. I thought eventually Drake May would separate himself as legit QB2 in this draft class, and I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. I mean, if I was a GM of the Commanders or someone else, and I thought I could trade up and take Drake May, I absolutely would. I think Drake May is the right pick here, and that's what I'm going to take. I don't know. There's kind of the odds market is saying Jaden Daniels, but a lot can change. And who really knows? A lot of been, bosses have been made of Brian Kelly and Jaden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury and all the connections there. We've kind of been flipping forth, back and forth with Daniels and May, 2 and 3. And I'm just gonna take a pick here with number two with Drake May. And that leaves the Patriots on the board here. And this is where it gets really interesting. I don't know if they're part of me thinks they're gonna want to trade back, but who's gonna want to come up and get him? Is it the Raiders that really love Jaden Daniels? Are they willing to give up all this draft capital to move up 10 spots all the way from 13 to 3 to take their quarterback? QB3 in this draft class? I don't know. I don't know. I think the Patriots are gonna second pick, and I think they have a lot of holes in the roster, but I do think they want to get quarterback right. And I think hopefully if you're Jared Mayo and the rest of the Patriots organization, you're not going to be drafting up here again and getting a talent like Jaden Daniels in this draft class, Heisman Trophy winner, production, running the football, throwing the football. Still needs to work on his accuracy over the middle of the field, but he'll get there. I do think so. Jaden Daniels, number three to the Patriots. And number four, the Cardinals here. I haven't had a trade yet, and a lot of people are saying, you know, the Vikings coming up and trading for JJ McCarthy, or the Giants want to move up ahead of them and take JJ McCarthy. But I think it's a lot to give up for the number four quarterback in the class. And the Vikings, I don't know, man. I think they have Sam Darnold. I know they're going to go up and get a quarterback, um, but I don't think it's going to be yet. And I think the Cardinals are going to stick and pick here with Marvin Harrison at number four. And that leads the Chargers at number five. And if you've been watching the last couple videos that I've had, I love Joe Alt in this spot here. I think it's a gut feeling. I think it's just the way I think that Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman just value offensive linemen in this league. And I think it makes a ton of sense. You get a premier prospect at tackle, the number one unquestioned offensive tackle number one in this class, and Joe Alt can play left tackle, can play right tackle. I know you have Rashawn Slater, but Joe Alt adds to your room and makes Justin Herbert's life so much easier in that pocket there. With Marvin Harrison off the board, it's a pretty easy pick. Number six here, the Giants. I'm gonna stick and pick here. I mean, you could go JJ McCarthy. You really think about it, I'm sorry, Daniel Jones is your future. He is your future right now. Let's make no mistake about it. You have so much money invested in him. I know in a couple years you can get out of it, but right now Brian DeBall has to win and he has to keep his job. And Malik Neighbors is gonna be the pick here to pair with, Danny Dimes and try to get this offense back to where it was a couple years ago. And at number seven here, and Joel has been commonly mocked to the Titans. And I think that's who they wanted at number seven. And obviously, with Joel going number five, you could think I'm gonna pivot to Olu Fashano. Do I like Amaris Mims enough to take him here at seven? Quinyon Mitchell is an elite player, but is he at seven? I don't know. This is where I think the Vikings come up, and to go from 11 to seven, a little bit easier, and the Titans have a ton of holes. They want to come back and get a lot of different picks. I think with the purpose of this mock draft, I'm gonna give up 11 and 23 to get 7 and a second round pick. Um, so the Titans are kind of trading up from that second round pick to go up to 23 and while trading back a couple spots here at 7 to go 11 and that probably get the guy that they want all along still. So we'll go the Titans and we're trading with the Vikings 11 and 23 for 38 and 7 and accepted. So the Vikings come up and get their quarterback of the future. That's going to be JJ McCarthy, a late rise in this draft class and prospect. He's been a 5-star recruit, so everyone's known about him. Went to IMG, obviously national championship champion winning quarterback for the Michigan Wolverines to pair with Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. It's a pretty nice duo there. They bring in over Aaron Jones. Not a bad situation to walk into if you're JJ McCarthy and you also have Sam Darnold there to teach you the ropes. That leads number 8 to the Falcons, and this is another team. A lot of different ways you can go about this. I'm gonna go Dallas Turner here. I think he fits what Raheem Morris does really, really well and can really thrive in that scheme. Not much else needs to be said there. I think Rome Odunze wasn't play until you signed Darnell Mooney, and you also have a lot of other weapons on that roster. Let's shore up the defense and give first-year head coach a nice piece on his chessboard. Number 9 to the Bears, and Rome Odunze is on the board, and I don't think you can walk away from this as he's sitting right in front of you. And yes, Byron Murphy's very tempting. I get that. Latu's interesting. Dallas Turner, if he's on the board, certainly is in play. I don't think you think about Quinn and Mitchell as you like your cornerback of the future. Um, Troy Fontenot would be a really interesting play as a depth piece on tackles, but also as interior guards. But if you're at number 9, you're looking to get impact player. Rome Odunze is that guy for Caleb Williams, and why not pair him up with a very, very good offensive pass core, right? With DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and now Rome Odunze. Number 10 with the Jets. And I've seen Brock Bowers a lot here, and to be honest, I don't know if that's the right play. I think you could do better here, and I think with Rome Odunze off the board, with Dallas Turner off the board, obviously, Malik Neighbors, Joe Alt, what long gone. I'm gonna stick here and I'm gonna pick a Marius Mims. I know I did this the other day, and maybe you're laughing at me right now, but I think there's a legit chance that he goes here number 10. And he is really, really, really good player. His upside is tremendous through the roof. And I think his floor is pretty damn high too. I don't see the Boomer Bust logo, the Boomer Bust label that's on him. I really don't. I don't get it. I mean, is this gonna happen? Maybe not. But if I was drafting at 10 here, this is who I would take because he's a elite upside guy at tackle for you, where you've had history of struggling to protect Aaron Rodgers. Amaris Mims right there. And he's not raw, by the way. He's young. He's inexperienced, but he's not raw. His tape is fantastic. His technique is damn good. His athleticism also compensates for some of that too. He's unbelievable. Amaris Mims at number 10, and the Titans are now back on the board. And now this is where that draft really, really begins for the Titans who traded down. Obviously, they could be doing a ton of things here, right? And they, like I said, a lot of people think they're taking Joe Alt and not quite seeing it in this draft class because, he was or in this mock draft because he was already off the board. And I mean, there's some pretty damn good pieces here. Obviously, Brock Bowers, which I don't think you take at 11 with all the holes you do have. I mean, you just signed L'Jarius Sneed and Chidobe Awuzie, so Quinion Mitchell would be gone. Um, I mean, Roma Dunze would be someone you would have thought about at 7, but I think you can get better value. And you know what? I'm just gonna just shore up that offensive line. You didn't get a tackle in the last draft class. You took Peter Skronsky, and here comes um let's go Troy Fontenot for Washington. Number there. You can play guard, you can play tackle, either one. I like him at tackle. Stick him out there. If he doesn't succeed, move him into guard. But I think it's gonna be a quality tackle for you. And that's the Broncos up at number 12. And now obviously Bo Nix has been linked here. Maris Mims I've seen here. Um, Obviously, you just traded for Zach Wilson, which I don't think really changes anything you do with this draft pick, unless you want to trade down and recoup that draft pick. But I don't really see any trade up partners. Um, so I think you're just gonna I think what you do here is you take Quinion Mitchell and you have a dynamic duo of Pat Surtain and Quinion Mitchell for years to come. And with that division you are in, with the Chargers and with Justin Herbert and with the Chiefs, obviously Mahomes in the AFC, you need to cover receivers. And that's what they're doing here. Loading up on cornerback. Number 13, the Raiders. This one's very interesting. As again, another team with a lot of needs. Quarterback would be in play here, certainly trading up for a guy like JJ McCarthy, Jaden Daniels, they've been linked to as well. Couldn't quite get a deal done with the Patriots. So they're staying at 13 here. And they got some needs here, right? Running back, way too early for that. O line, obviously, everyone needs O line in this draft class, and there's a ton of them. And I think one I have circled on this draft class for them, and that's going to be Talise Fuanga. I know Matthew really likes him. I think he can play guard, he can play tackle, he can do a lot of things for you. And obviously, to help a young quarterback in there, whoever it is, Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, whatever, and to really get back to that ground and pound Raiders way, like this is a guy that's really, really fun to watch and going to be a nice piece for you. Number 14 here, and here's the Saints. And again, what do you do here? You have Derek Carr. Is he long-term answer? I don't know, but he has to be by default. Kamara's obviously still there. You've got Chris Olave, you drafted a couple years ago, who's a really darn good player. Not a ton of help elsewhere on that offense. And I think that's what you do here. You look at the offensive positions. I mean, I'm looking at Brock Bowers, which I don't love here at 14. I'm looking at AD Mitchell and Brian Thomas, two guys that are just freaks in this draft class. And I'm down between Byron Murphy right now. I'm being on to Byron Murphy and AD Mitchell right now. And I think I'm gonna go offense here and go AD Mitchell because I think they need offense bad. I think they need offense bad. And Dennis Allen, he trusts himself. He can get the defense right. You're bringing in Chase Young and some other people to help you with that. So AD Mitchell 14 to the Saints, and that leaves the Colts. And two of their guys that they love, their RAS scores they love is Quinion Mitchell and AD Mitchell, right? Two Mitchells there, and they're looking at their team and they feel pretty darn good. Anthony Richardson needs to be healthy, but you have a good O line. I don't think you need to take Olu Fashano or even Graham Barton here. Brock Bowers, I don't think quite fits with you offensively wise. And you drafted pretty well at the tight end position. You have Mo Ali Cox, obviously Jelani Woods, two guys you like there. Um, Defensively, Byron Murphy's certainly in play, but you have Grover Stewart, you have DeForest Buckner. Um, and I don't know if you need to quite move off those guys just yet. Um, yeah, I'm just common pick that we've been doing here is Brian Thomas Jr. And that it makes a ton of sense. Again, that RAS score through the roof. And these are two guys, Eddie Mitchell, Brian Thomas Jr., maybe are in the 20s or late teens in terms of where they're supposed to go draft. I think they go a little bit earlier here, with the Saints and Colts taking them off the board. Seattle at number 16. A couple of their guys that they would really liked are off the board. Um, yeah, and they're another team, Geno Smith. You got two receivers you like, obviously three with Jackson Smith and Jigba. Um, got your two tackles of the future. You think in Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas. You could go J.C. Latham or Graham Barton and move them inside and try to replace, some of the guys you lost in free agency. But I think that the best player on this board here is Byron Murphy, and he is on the board at 16. And you got to take him. Jaron Reed, Draymond Jones. I think this is where he goes. 16 to the Seahawks. And they get a nice piece to really mess up the Rams and the San Francisco and Arizona and what they want to do offensively. And the Jaguars here at 17. Again, Trent Baalke loves his freaks. And there's been a couple of them that are already off the board. And A.D. Mitchell, Brian Thomas Jr., Quinion Mitchell, Amarius Mims, guys that he would be loved to see at 17 there. And I don't see a ton else there. Right. You're looking at elite athletes like Nate Wiggins. I guess you could consider Olu Fashano, pretty darn good athlete. Way too early for Peyton Wilson, but he's another guy that just tested off the charts. So I guess this is be another trade down opportunity. And I don't know. You got the wide receivers are off the board already. Maybe Edge and Latu. I'm not quite seeing a trade partner with them as of right now. It's so hard to predict trades too, this late in the round. So I'm just gonna stick and pick here with the Jaguars, and we're just going to take, who we think the best player on the board is, and it's probably Terry Arnold for the Jaguars. Again, very good athlete. Maybe didn't test off the charts, but a very, very good athlete. You sign Ronald Darby, that is not a long-term answer. Terry Arnold can come in and do a lot of good things for you defensively for Trent Baalke and obviously Doug Peterson. The Bengals at 18, another team didn't quite stay healthy last year and maybe disappointed and looking to improve on a year ago, get back to the Super Bowl where they were just a couple years ago. T. Higgins, what's the future like with him? Maybe you take Brian Thomas Jr., A.D. Mitchell if they're there. Obviously, very disappointed that they're off the board. Maybe you sign him to a long-term deal and you start working on the other side of the ball. B.J. Hill, Sheldon Rankins, two guys I like interiorly. Yeah, obviously, corner would have been nice here as well. Considering Terran Arnold's off the board, obviously, Quinn Mitchell went off the board a couple picks ago. Um, Looking at their draft board, the Bengals, I mean, is Brock Bowers crazy? I think he is. You got Mike Gesicki. Maybe you try to shore up that O line. Although it's looking pretty damn good right now. I hate to say so, and I think you just you kind of take a stab at. I don't think this is a luxury pick at all, but you take a stab at a guy that could be a real difference maker for you in Nate Wiggins at 18. I know it's a little high for him, but I do think some team is going to pass the physical for him and the medical's going to check out and they're really going to fall in love with him. I think that's the Bengals here um, with Nate Wiggins, the Rams at 19. And now, I mean, Brock Bowers is just very scary thought to be in that passing offense with everyone else. Although you have Higbee, you signed Colby Parkinson. I hate to have Bowers keep slipping because I love him. I think he's a top 20 player in this draft class, but it's hard to find a need for a team that just says, "Hey, I need a tight end. That's a difference maker. That's going to make us push us over the top in year one as a rookie." Kind of hard to do. So the Rams, I think you're going to slide in Graham Barton here, and he's just going to play wherever you want him on your O line. You can play tackle, you can play guard, even center, like Steve Avila. Um, so yeah, you just take Graham Barton and you just figure it out because I love his game so much. His versatility is very, very nice for you. The Steelers at 20. Um, they just traded for Justin Fields. I mean, and they also signed Russell Wilson. So I mean, kind of in no man's land right now with quarterback position. I don't think Michael Penix or Bo Nix is a severe upgrade over either of them. So you're kind of just gonna roll out with them and hopefully take this pick that can give you some value. And wide receiver is an immediate need for you. But none of them you really love here. I think it's a little bit too early for Lad McConkey, who I love. Do not get me wrong, but 20 is pretty darn high. And I think this is I think this is where the stop of no, can't take that, can't take that. You got Joey Porter who struggled a little bit, but I think he's gonna be okay. I mean, corner, you could take Kool-Aid McKinstry, but I think it's a little bit too early for that. Wow. I'm kind of stuck here for the Steelers. Give me Olu Fashanu. He's gonna play tackle for you, and you can just kick Dan Moore out. Uh, Very good player. Obviously better pass blocker than run blocker, but I think with the offense right now and protecting up Wilson and Fields and figuring out everything else out. I think also Arthur Smith and what they can do offensively can unlock some things in the run game for Olu Fashanu, which would be nice for you there. And the Dolphins here at 21. This is where Brock Bowers stops falling because although Johnny Newton's on the board, it's Yeah, I'm gonna take Johnny Newton. I mean, you just lost Christian Wilkins. You got to replace that somehow. I know it's obviously a downgrade because of how good Christian Wilkins is, but do not get me wrong. Johnny Newton's a very, very good player, which would be really nice for you. Um, Obviously, for the Dolphins who are looking to make a playoff push with their roster kind of aging right now in cap hell, just trying to figure out one more year to really make that push for the next thing for the Super Bowl in the AFC. Eagles at 22, another team can do a lot of things here. You obviously signed Saquon. That was kind of a splashy. You signed Devin White, Bryce Huff, CJ Gardner Johnson. I mean, Howie Roseman is a fantastic GM. He has drafted so well. He has signed good contracts. He's doing a really good job there for the Eagles. And not that this is a luxury pick by all means, but I mean, Kool-Aid McKinstry here. You've got Darius Slay and James Bradbury, but I think Kool-Aid is a pretty damn good player. And I took his under, or I said he'd go in the first round, and he absolutely does here at 22. The Titans, who remember traded back with the Vikings, had to give up their second rounder to move up in the first, as well as trading back a couple slots from 7 to 11. They already took Troy Fontenot, if you remember. So they sure that up. And I think this is where it would be interesting. I'm gonna go Brock Bowers here for the I'm sorry, for the Titans here because they've got a lot of needs, right? And Chig kind of disappointed you last year, and you want to give Will Levis a couple, maybe some things to really help with you offensively. I like what you did defensively, especially in that secondary. I think you can make it do another year with them. Obviously, Brian Callahan comes over. You want to fix that offense and really get going. Brock Bowers, number 23 and 24, the Cowboys. I mean, Cooper Sheen is still here. Latu is somehow still on the board. And this is where he goes off. This is another draft class where you have just the top 20. It's really the from 4 to 20, 24. There's like 20 prospects that are like not like they're all neck and neck, but there's just so much variation that can happen where if he doesn't get taken at this pick, and then this team goes another position, then he could really start to slide. And in this case, it's Latu. What I think is going to happen at 24 with the Cowboys, I think he's too good to pass up on. I know you have Micah Parsons. Sure, that's awesome. Very, very good player. I know you DeMarcus Lawrence, very, very good player. But I think like again, adding another just elite pass rusher to that trio, to that duo, make it a trio would be just super, super enticing. 25 to the Packers. Again, Grant Barton would be awesome here. They're upset he's not on the board. I mean, Cooper DeJean has been a very commonly mocked. I'm going to go with that too here. I think that makes a lot of sense. If he's on the board here, where the board falls, he's one of the last true first round grades I have in this class on the board. And obviously, he solves a need just DB in general for you. That leads us to Tampa Bay at 26. They're coming off a pretty successful season with Baker Mayfield. They re-upped him for a couple more years. You've got, I mean, Rashad White and Chase Edmonds. I don't think you think about running back here. Um, but I do think Jared Verse would be really nice in this. No, yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, Jared Verse. That's what I have. Jared Verse at 26 would be really nice in this defense. I think if you want, you could beef him up and he could play that 3-4 end or that three that like four eye technique that they have these guys playing Logan Hall and Kalijah, or you can use his athleticism and whatnot to in his run defense at edge, and he can set an edge for you. Yaya Diaby and Joe Tryon. He's a little bit different body than them. I think that might do some good for Todd Bowles to give you some versatility there in your front seven. And he's also too good to pass up on with everyone else off the board. I think to me that makes a ton of sense. The Cardinals at 27. They already took Marvin Harrison Jr. If you forget about that at number 4, so that looked pretty good offensively. Him and Michael Wilson pairing with Kyler Murray, Trey McBride, and James Conner looking to do some good things offensively. You drafted Paris Johnson a year ago. You signed Jonah Williams from free agency. Um, but to me, I think you're still looking to beef up that O line and to keep Kyler Murray upright. Your defensive players that you feel really good about taking in the first round are off the board, I think. And so here's JC Latham at number 27. 27. Boom. I'm sorry, not Jason Latham. Jackson Powers Johnson. My apologies there. I was looking at Latham um, while Jackson Powers Johnson went through, but it'll be Jackson Powers Johnson. Number 28. This is the Bills here. And I'm just not going to take too long on this one. This is Lad McConkey. He makes a ton of sense here for you. I mean, another just really, really good receiver. I know he's not as flashy as AD Mitchell or Brian Thomas or whoever else you wanted, Stephon Diggs, but he's so, so good. Do not get that mixed up. Um, and I know, the stereotype's going to be whatever. No, he's a really, really good receiver. I think he goes in the first round. I think this is exactly the area where I see him going. Lions at 29. This is where JC Latham goes, right? I mean, the skid has been far enough for him. You can play him inside. I think is where you start him out. You build an anchor. You let him learn to play physical in the run. And who better to teach him that than Dan Campbell and unlock some kind of potential out of him and turn him into a really, really good offensive lineman. And I think that'll be a perfect spot in Detroit for him there. 30, the Ravens, another team that's really hard to draft for because they like certain guys. Um, when they're drafting, like big offensive tackles, they like speedy edge rushers. You've seen them take Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers past couple years in the first round. I don't quite see a wide receiver sneaking in there. Maybe Keon Coleman. I guess I don't think Xavier Worthy quite fits with this roster and the way that Lamar Jackson likes to push the football down the field. I don't think it makes a lot of sense for them to do that. But I think the pick here is going to be tackle. And I think you're deciding between Jordan Morgan and Tyler Guyton, and it's kind of their dealer's choice. And I do think with a need at right tackle, although I like Daniel Falele, and I think he still has potential to be a good right tackle for you, I do think Morgan helps you, especially if and when Ronnie Stanley goes down. You're going to need a guy step in at left tackle and play consistently and feel good about him. And I think Jordan Morgan is way more ready to play early than Tyler Guyton. So I'm going to go him at 36. San Francisco at 31. Again, I think you start seeing some linemen sneak in at the late round. That's 27, Jackson Powers Johnson. 29 is JC Latham. 30, Morgan. I think another offensive lineman might go off the board here. And I'm thinking Tyler Guyton. I'm also thinking a guy like Kingsley Suamatea, right? I think those are two guys that they would be pretty darn high on if you're San Francisco. And I think with the upside that Guyton brings you, right, and the ability to sit behind Trent Williams for a year or two and really learn how to be a quality tackle in the NFL, it makes a ton of sense for you there. So Tyler Guyton at 31. And here we go. The last pick of the draft on the first round for Kansas City. You could have a trade up here for a quarterback. Michael Penix is still on the board. Bo Nix. Um, and here's what I'm going to do here. I can't quite get in Xavier Worthy. I can't quite get in Bo Nix. I think a team's going to trade up for Bo Nix. And I think that team is going to be the Denver Broncos. They don't have a ton of picks to do so, but I do think that they're going to make it worth it. I mean, you've got, pulling it up right now. I mean, the Chiefs are going to have to fall ways away, but you can get 76 and you probably have to give up some sort of, you know, maybe a first next year, maybe a second next year, whatever it might be. It could be a hefty price to move up about 35 spots. And I think the Chiefs with their roster right now, I think they feel pretty good about it. And they're trading with your division interdivision, which I guess also very hard to do, but we've seen it done before. And that's also going to make that number drive the price even more. But I do think the Broncos are desperate for a quarterback. Bo Nix is going to be that guy, and we'll just see how it goes for them there. Um, so yeah, Broncos finishing off the first round with Bo Nix. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Be to Make sure you like and subscribe. If you're still watching at the end here, you are the best. Let us know what you think about this mock draft and my final predictions for the NFL first round. Kind of crazy, but it's also like it's kind of a crapshoot sometimes with the NFL draft, and who knows what it can be. But I had a lot of fun doing this. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. Like Matthew always says, like, comment, and subscribe. Do all that good stuff. And we'll see you in the next one.